Well, there are very few places in the Western Cape where if you enjoy rock and rock art, you should go to other than the Cederberg. And the gentleman who's going to be taking us on this one-day tour is Chris McDuling from Basic Tours. Chris, lovely to have you on this wonderful virtual tour.
Thank you, Africa. It's a privilege to be on the show with you.
Why Cederberg?
It's a beautiful place to be where you want to find space to find yourself and not find many people.
And where are you taking us today, Chris?
We'll be coming in basically off the N7 and going into the central Cederberg, past the Cederberg Wilderness. And then we'll be going through an area called the Maatjies Rivier Reserve and exiting through Wuppertal and the Clan William area. So that brings us on a circular route to get back to so-called civilization again.
Now, obviously, we can't physically be there, so we're going to rely on technology and Google Street View to take us through the tour. All right, Chris, now we've driven all the way from Cape Town off the N7 and we get onto the dirt road that takes us to Cederberg.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to pass that's worth mentioning is the Olifants River. The Olifants River feeds a very large agricultural scheme, and it's the Olifants River project, feeds into the Clan William Dam. We go up the Nieuwoudts Pass, beautiful views. Every single road in the Cederberg leads to a beautiful view. Then you go over the top of this, you've got Yamaka on the left-hand side, which is a private reserve, and then we come to the Algiers campsite and the accommodation for Cape Nature.
What is striking, though, about this road is the rock formations. I mean, you come to the Cederberg to enjoy the rocks, don't you?
Well, yes. It's often described as a moonscape. It looks like a giant climbed in there with a hammer and tongs and built it like that. But largely sandstone formations, and the elements have broken these down over millennia.
And then we spend our first night at what's called the Stadsaal Oasis.
Correct. The Cederberg Oasis used to be a backpackers and an overlanding truck stop. With all the activities that you now have in the Cederberg, it caters to rock climbers, mountaineers, cyclists.
All right, Chris, so you've spent the night at Stadsaal Oasis. We wake up the next morning after a wonderful breakfast. Where are you taking us?
So many choices and not enough time. And the Cederberg is one of these superior places for rock art. And one I'd like to single out probably is Stadsaal. You know, the rock art is part of our heritage, and there are many famous sites that we can go and visit. There are others that are less visited, but every single one of them has its own intrigue. Stadsaal is a definite must-see on the list. Now we're going to go along to the Stadsaal Caves. I think something that's specifically worth mentioning about the Stadsaal Caves is that there's graffiti there that was done hundreds of years ago. The caves themselves are actually, it's a totally different feel. The rock art there is in a different condition, and the rock formations there, if you want to take a family photograph or a photograph after a wedding, go put your head in a rock in the Stadsaal Caves.
There is some wildlife in the Cederberg, isn't there?
Certainly, the Cederberg has an abundance of wildlife. You know, especially with the nocturnal animals, when you look at aardvark and porcupine and the very elusive aardwolf, what an amazing animal. Obviously, you know, the leopard with the Cape Leopard Trust being around and making sure these animals will survive is fairly well known.
Of course, the Cederberg is special for the rock formations. It's special for its wildlife, but it's also special for the local culture.
Yes, definitely. The roots of the people that live there run deep. To a large extent, the Cederberg has got a forgotten nation, but kept alive by things like the reel dance. There we have the Moravian mission stations. There's a whole route you can just do going to different churches. And certainly, if you want to see a friendly face, you'll find it in the Cederberg.
Well, Chris, we have found a friendly face in you. Thank you very much for taking us on this journey.
Africa, thank you so much. What a pity we only have such a short time, because in the Cederberg, there's a lifetime of experiences.
And we'll get to enjoy it all one day. And of course, if you want to help out tour guides like Chris, who are not getting too much work at the moment because of the lockdown, All you have to do is use the snap scan and donate and be generous, please, so that we can help those tour guides, so that one day when we are able to go to the Cederberg and enjoy it, they're still there to help us.